Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So, as Patrick stated, my name is Halston Shannon, and this is the resume workshop. So, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So, just a few things about myself. Um, Aside from my tutoring position at Miami-Dade College, Wolfson campus, I'm also a freelance graphic designer, and I'm an alumnus of Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. I got my Bachelor's of Business Administration in the spring of 2017 with a concentration in information systems, and I also got my Master of Education during the fall of 2018. Was born in North Miami Beach and raised in Pembroke Pines, where I currently live now, so South Florida resident, born and raised, and of course, like I stated, currently a part-time writing tutor for the MDC Wolfson Campus Learning Resources. The main objectives of this workshop will be to learn about the different parts of a resume and their purpose, learning about the resume rules and how they affect the development of a resume, learning about different types of resumes, and discovering the one that's best suited to develop your own individual resume, and applying any necessary finishing touches to your own resume as it stands. So of course, the first question, the most obvious question is, what is a resume? A resume is an advertisement of you. It's a snapshot of who you are and your personal, professional, educational, and work qualifications. It's about your future and not your past. Why do you need a resume? Of course, we all, at the end, of course, all of us, our end goal is to get a job, but the purpose of a resume is to qualify for an interview and to give an employer something to skim through to judge your capabilities and your abilities based off of what you've done prior to that interview. And like I said, and most employers do skim your resume, and it's meant to truly give them a positive first impression of you within 10 to 20 seconds. And like I stated on that last slide, most employers will probably look at your resume anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds. So it's not meant to be an autobiography or a confessional. When it comes to resumes, the key is less is more. You want to be as brief and concise at the same time as possible. Include only relevant information. So you don't have to tell everything, just make sure you include information that's marketable and relevant to that specific position. It's going to get you an interview, and I want to definitely stress that, because what's going to get you the job is going to be how you compare to the other candidates for that position. But the resume, at the very least, would absolutely get you an interview. So you want to make sure that you at least give yourself that opportunity with a strong resume. Then we're going to get into the different types of resumes and resume formatting. First of these is called the chronological resume. It's the most traditional format, and it's also the one that I personally use on my resume. It lists work experience by dates in reverse chronological order, with the most recent of your employment being at the top of that list. It doesn't highlight your main skills and qualifications, and it's useful when you have consistent work history with growth and achievements. So personally, on my resume as it stands dates back to 2017 and goes all the way up to now to 2020 over a 3-year span. And if you look at it, it'll show how I made progress in my work experience and in the promotions that I've received and things of that nature. And it's useful when you have no gaps in employment and you stay within the same field. And then there's the functional and skills-based resume, which is a little bit more specific and highlights your qualifications around skill headings. It highlights major areas of accomplishment, strengths, and abilities in order of importance to this particular job or employer. So this is the type of resume that's a little bit more personalized to what you're applying for, and it's not as general as what you would find in a chronological resume. Actual work history is minimized, and it's also very useful when you're changing careers or re-entering the job market, or if you have gaps in employment, or if you've had a variety of different jobs. Then there's the combination resume, which of course combines the elements that you would find in a chronological and a functional resume. It includes the qualifications section and may highlight key strengths, and your work history section emphasize results instead of job duties. So anything that you've accomplished within the different jobs that you have is probably what you want to highlight in this type of resume, but not necessarily what your duties were or what was assigned to you. Then there's the different types of resumes. There's the different types of resume components, and that can go anywhere from, generally in any general resume, that can go anywhere from the heading to the job objective to the summary of qualifications to work experience to education to skills and abilities and anything else that may fall under relevant information. The layout and appearance of your standard professional resume can always be found on white or off-white paper. It's usually one page. It can be a second page as long as the information that you find on that second page is relevant and can help your case as far as getting that interview and making a strong case to that employer. Font should always be 12-point font, but if you're going to go smaller than that, no smaller than 11-point. And be consistent in the layout, underlining, capitalizing, and bolding that you do with the text and how you organize the resume and the elements. Make sure that there's not too much white space and that you use it as much as possible. Make sure you maintain good margins and maintain the use of your tabs. Use bullets. Don't order things using numbers. Definitely use bullets, and always spell and grammar check. An employee's first impression of you, like I said earlier, is the resume. So if there's a resume and they see that there's a couple of misspellings here and there, it might make you come off to them as someone that doesn't possess any attention to detail, or someone that doesn't care to do a thorough at what they're doing. And then there's the wording. And before I get into this slide, Patrick, can you please share the resume words document?
So we've got these applicant tracking system. These are top keywords for resume. So an applicant tracking system is, computer software. Either a company has developed their own, or there's many over-the-counter versions in the marketplace. But these computer programs, just like Google has the word searches, they go through into a resume and look for these keywords that match the job requisition that they currently have. So this is really key to understanding and putting these types of words in your resume. And then anything you wanted to add there, Halston, but that's what these action words are for.
Okay.
Again, there's also active past tense verbs for resumes as well. So focus on using these types for any job that was in the past, and just be consistent in the text.
Okay, so as we saw in that document, definitely use appropriate resume words. Use phrases that focus on your successes and your accomplishments, and really the purpose of these words is to really sell yourself as much as possible, and make sure you're not only showing what you've accomplished, but that you're proud of what you've accomplished. Only include what is relevant and marketable. Use relevant lists instead of paragraphs, just so that your information will be easy to read. And one important note is to use past tense for work that you've had in the past, or for a place of work that you're no longer working for. So this is personally something that I had to learn myself on the fly in my own experiences. So I've had I've had times where I may have left the job, but I kept a lot of my verbiage and presence that would sometimes throw off employers and make questions and really just cause slight doubt as to if I'm telling the truth or not. So you don't want that question to ever pop up. Make sure that every time you leave a place of employment, make sure you update that part of your resume immediately. And most importantly, above all else, be honest. And be honest in everything that you include in the resume, because sooner or later, they're going to find out whether something that you said you did or something that you say you're good at. They're going to find out the truth behind that. So be as truthful as possible in your resume, because there's a job for all of us out there. And where to begin? Simply just get it on paper. Make a list of all your work experiences, your past education, skills, abilities, interests, and talents. If you're making a career change, remember your transferable skills and lay it out in basic resume format. Just remember, this is us beginning, just getting things on paper and cleaning it up later and filling in blanks. And where to end? Read it and edit it. Ask at least 2 other people that have very solid resumes themselves to give you feedback, and be open to feedback and constructive criticism. Rewrite the resume based on each job you're applying for. I know myself personally, when I was on a job search prior to my current tutoring position, I had a resume for Miami-Dade. I had a resume for FIU, FAU, so on and so forth. So your resume truly is never finished and it's never final. It just depends on what you're applying for and what applies to that position. And now we're going to get into a quick activity just based on what I discussed thus far. So how this is going to go is I'm going to go down this list here on the left side, and based off of what I've discussed thus far, all you have to do is leave your comment or opinion in the chat as to, on a resume, in which order would each of these come up on a resume. So I'm going to start with, and Patrick is going to let me know what everybody's consensus is, and then I'm going to come back and tell you the correct number in which it would come up on a resume. So I'm going to start with this first one, your academic qualifications and track record. Let me know when everybody's done.
And we've got number 6. Yeah, we've got a mix between 7, 2, and 6. So if you wanna let us know what the correct would be.
Okay, and it's actually it's actually right in between all of that. The correct answer is number 5. And then the following one is the skills, knowledge, and personal qualities you will bring to the position.
So we've got 1, and we've got 2 for 4. So we've got 1, 4, and 4.
Okay, for anybody that said number 4, you are correct. And moving on, contact details.
You've got a couple for 2, and then one for 1.
Okay, and the correct answer for this one is number 3. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to explain the why behind all of these. I'm going to just finish the activity. So the one we have after this is your principal achievements within and outside of university.
All right, we've got a 6, a 7, and a 5. So all votes are in.
Okay. For this one, the correct answer was number 7. And then we have your employment and work experience.
We've got 3, 3, and 5.
Okay. And the correct answer to this one was number 6. And then we have where you live, your phone number, and email address.
We've got 1, 2, and 2.
Okay, yeah, that one was easy. So this one is number 2. That was fairly simple. And then we have memberships.
Yeah, I think we've got all 8 on that one. We got a
Yep.
first consensus.
Yeah, and that one is correct. Memberships, while it's relevant, it's probably the least important thing you'll find on the resume. So memberships would definitely go last. And the very last one, which everybody should get right, is your name.
I think we've got a consensus on this one too. Number 1.
Yes. All right. So with that being the end of the activity, I'm actually going to pull up my own personal resume just to give reference to this activity. And so I'm just going to go heading by heading. So like everybody said, your name is number 1. So of course you see here, right at the top, my name, and then your phone number, where you live, and contact info goes number 2. These are number 2 and number 3. So anybody could have said number 3 to number 2 and to any of these and would have been correct. Where you live, your email, your contact info all pretty much go hand in hand, and they'll go right under your name. And then right there, then after that we have number 4, which was the skills and abilities. And I know personally for me, I use skills and abilities. A lot of people in this section like to include the objective, but I actually include skills and abilities right here because just in my experiences with applying to jobs, I've went away from using the objective and I've opted more for placing skills and abilities at the very top of the resume, just because employers are more so interested in what you can bring to the table and what skills and what relevant skills you have. They're more so interested in that instead of your objective, because an objective simply states what you want, and they don't necessarily care for that as much as they would care for your skills and abilities. And then number 5 was your academia and track record. So of course I have my education right here, Florida Atlantic University, with both my master's and my bachelor's listed here. And then number 6 we stated was your employment and work experience. And of course, right after that, academic information, we have my professional experience, which goes all the way from now back until 2017. And then achievements and memberships was number 7 and number 8, and that's the very last section of the resume. And you can format that in any way that you would like. This is how I decided to do that, but that type of information should always be at the end of the resume. Okay, so just to finish out the presentation, I'm just going to cover a few additional resources, and these resources here are just a few that I included based off of my own research that I took and that I went around to find while I was in the process of creating this presentation. So we do have LinkedIn, this one LinkedIn article that I found, and I'm going to quickly pull it up. and how to write a resume that will get a recruiter's attention. And you'll see that they list key tactics and bullets that detail what you can find in a resume that's likely to get a recruiter's attention. And then we also have this Forbes article that I found, how to build a crazy, how to do it. Pause on this side, give me a second. And then how to build a crazy effective resume that gets top results. So like the other article, it's all about letting you know what to find in a resume so it can get through an applicant tracking system and get looked at by an employer and give you great consideration. And the last resource here is on the Balanced Careers website. Tips for creating an interview-winning resume. So, and they list their tips in order and go down the list and explain why these tips make sense and will make your resume stand out. So feel free to review these resources in your spare time if you'd like. There's LinkedIn, Forbes, and the Balanced Careers. And any questions? All right, moving on. And there's a quick survey that everyone would need to fill out. Here's the link to fill that survey out, and it's pretty easy to remember. It's just tinyurl.com/summersuccesssurvey, and again, that's tinyurl.com/summersuccesssurvey. And that is the conclusion of the presentation.